Welcome to McConnell Arts and Crafts Center's Hook, Yarn, and Needles. In this episode, I'm going to teach you to cast on for knitting. What that means is you have to start with stitches on your needle in order to knit. This will tell you how you get them there. There are all kinds of different ways to cast on. I am going to show you two of the most popular. Most patterns, if they have a cast on they want you to use, it will tell you. And which cast on you use depends on what you're knitting. Some cast ons are fairly tight and they don't stretch. You don't want to use one of those if you're making a sweater or a hat. And when you cast on and they don't specify, use what's most comfortable for you. I'm going to show you two of the most popular cast on. There's the long tail and the cable cast on. The long tail gets used a lot and it puts your stitches on your needle and it looks like you knitted the first row. The cable cast on is good if you are doing a lot of stitches because you don't have the tail to deal with. It's not as stretchy as a long tail, so you don't want to use it where a long tail would be better. It's a nice stable edge for shawls and things like that though. The first cast on I'm going to show you is called the long tail cast on. It's called that because you don't start at the end of the yarn. You start down the lengthways. How far down you go depends on how many stitches you're going to knit. So it's the easiest way to do that. There are lots of them, but the easiest way is just wrap it once for each stitch you're going to do. If you're going to do 10, you wrap it 10 times. And I've wrapped it 7, 8, 9, 10. So for my 10 stitches, I start not at the end, but right here. First thing you do is you need to make a slip knot. A slip knot is you make by wrapping it around your finger. You make a little X. This top piece, you then slide in from the back of the loop around your finger. That gives you a knot that will move on one end and be tight on the other. Then this will tighten up once you put it on your needles. But when you put it on your needles, you do not want it all the way up to the needle. You need to leave a little room because when you knit, you will come up and stick the other needle in the spot. So now you have your tail and the yarn that goes to the ball, to your ball of yarn. So how you do this is you take the tail, wrap it around your thumb so that goes to your needle is on top, coming around the back of your thumb. Then you slide the needle in the loop, hold it, take the other side that goes to the ball, wrap it around your needle, take this, slide it off the needle, and then tighten it. Now I have 2 stitches. I do it again, wrap it around my thumb, go up, around, and then off, and snug it tight. Now I have 3 stitches on my needle. We're going to do it one more time. Around, up, around, and then off. Around, up your thumb, then you take it and you wrap it around the needle, then you take that loop and drop it off the back. It gives you an edge that looks almost knitted when you start. So your first row looks very pretty. This is the long tail cast on. I would keep going till I got my 10 stitches to work my project. The next cast on I'm going to show you is crochet cast on. It starts near the end of your yarn. It is a firmer cast on than the long tail. So if you're doing things that need to flex, like sweaters or gloves or something, this is probably not the way to start. Your pattern, if they care what cast on you use, they will tell you which to pick. Now, to do this, we are going to make a slip knot again. Bring it over, make the X, and then push the yarn through from the back. Pull it tight. If you are unsure how tight to pull it, until you get comfortable, the best way to do it is to tighten it around both needles. That way you know that you'll be able to get the needle in when you need to. So you've got it, you've pulled it tight, then you take the extra needle out. Now, to do the cast on, you put the needle with the thread in your left hand. Make sure you've got the tail tucked out of the way. You don't want to start with it because then you get 3 stitches and realize you have to start all over again. Now, to do this cast on, you take your other needle. You have the needle with the loop in your left hand and the working needle in your right. Then you slip it through, putting the right needle under the left needle. Take the yarn, wrap it around the needle, and then pull it back through. So you now have a loop on each needle. Then you take the left needle coming over the top and pick up that loop from the right needle onto the left needle, and now you have 2 stitches on your left needle. Okay, now we do it again. You go in between, you take your yarn, you wrap it around, pull it through, bring the left needle over the top, and pick up that stitch off your right needle. If it gets really loose, all you have to do is pull the yarn and pull it so that you can stick your needle around behind, wrap it over, pull it up, bring your needle over, and pick up the stitch. I now have 4 stitches towards my project. Now, each time, this stitch looks a little sloppy, but once you stick this needle in here, see that one I got tight, so let's pull that a little loose. And then you wrap it around, pull it through, and then turn it and pick it up. Now see, it's looking really straight again, and the end one is the one that's looking slop. So as you go, these will straighten up and start looking nice. But that's how you do a crochet cast on. So now you've learned 2 ways to get your yarn on your needles so that you can learn to knit.